Hi. When it comes to body positivity, I think that we all need to be very respectful of each other, definitely, but we also need to listen to each other. I think when the other side tells us that there's no possibility of us being healthy people, despite the fact that we have larger bodies, that's a very tone-deaf conversation. But on the other hand, I think that we also need to be very open and really be truthful about how exactly we got to be the size that we are. Absolutely, genetics can play a part in the size, and medical issues can most certainly play a part in how we got to be the size that we are. But when we're talking about a person of morbid obesity, I think food choices definitely have to be in there in terms of playing a part for all of us in our how we got to be the size that we are. I call it fork to mouth disease. And I can say, oh, it is a disease, but not really. But that being said, I don't know that food is necessarily the problem when it comes to obesity. Bear with me just for a second and I'll explain. What I think really when you talk to people of size is we all share a common thread. And when it comes to morbid obesity, I think that you'll find that a lot of us have dealt with some unresolved trauma somewhere in our past. It's not necessarily that every single one of us was a victim of molestation or something like that, but I think that you'll find that there is a thread with all of us where we've all experienced some sort of trauma. Maybe it's buried, maybe it's very deep, but we've all got something somewhere. And it's not necessarily as easy as just go on a diet and exercise. We all know logically that changing our food habits and exercising can help a person lose weight in a vacuum. But we live very, very messy lives. And for some reason, you can't make that succeed. 95% of diets fail. That's whether you're 150 pounds at the start or 350 pounds at the start. And there has to be a reason for that. And personally, based on the myriad conversations that I've had, I think one of the big reasons for that, particularly when you're dealing with a person of morbid obesity, is there is some sort of unresolved trauma in their life. My personal experience, when I finally got real and honest with myself and I finally started looking into everything, I had realized that I had never known what physical hunger felt like. I had only ever been feeding my head. I had only ever been feeding my feelings. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago that I really got in touch with what it was that I was feeding and why I was feeding it. And that's when I started experiencing for the very first time in my adult life what physical hunger in my stomach felt like, as opposed to constantly being starving my entire life. And now it's so bizarre, but like 15 hours can go by and then suddenly I'll be shaking because I'm still like a little kid trying to figure out exactly what the cues are for hunger, because I'm just learning it, because I just finally started to fix the stuff inside my head and now the weight is starting to come off. So I think that's a conversation that everybody needs to have. We all need to get real and honest, and we need to fix, it's that chicken and the egg debate. We need to fix the thing that came first, that made us want to start covering ourselves up literally with a blanket of fat to keep out the bad thing that happened, before we can really fix whatever it is that made us put this weight on in the first place. And I don't think we're ever going to have success until that gets addressed. And I think that's a really important part of the conversation that often is left. Most diet books don't really address it. They always say, oh, you should go get some counseling. But I think it's a much bigger piece than is addressed in most diet books, even ones that come out by, psychologists, big time ones with TV shows and things like that. So I think that's a really important thing that needs to be talked about. It's a big part of the discussion as far as I'm concerned. Thanks.